Dear learners and listeners, welcome to this session. This session is part of the course Conflict and Peace Management, that is, the title is BGP 003. The title of this today's session is Human Security. I have prepared this title for Human Security in two sessions. That's why I marked it Human Security 1 and Human Security 2 and Development Studies, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. Welcome to this session. Before we get into the topic, I would like to introduce this topic. When we discuss about the human security is an emerging ideal for being aware of global vulnerabilities. The human security recognizes that, first of all, the ultimate referent objects of security should be the individual whose well-being is not necessarily coterminous with the security of the state. Secondly, it highlights the sources of threat to the individual go far beyond interstate conflict to include, for example, internal conflict, human rights abuses, communicable diseases, environmental disorders, poverty and malnutrition. Human security holds that a people-centered, multidisciplinary understanding of security involves the number of research fields such as development studies, international relations, strategic studies, and human rights. The United Nations Development Programme's 1994 Human Development Report is considered a milestone publication in the field of human security, with its argument that ensuring freedom from want and freedom from fear for all persons is the best path to tackle the problems of global security. You all must know about the Human Development Report. The Human Development Report at the international level is published every year by the United Nations Development Programme. United Nations Development Programme is part of the United Nations. Every year, UNDP will publish a thematic report apart from bringing certain indicators related to human development. As far as 1994 UNDP's Human Development Report is considered, is a milestone for human security, and that report argues that ensuring freedom from want, freedom from fear for all persons is the best path to tackle the problem of global insecurity. I have set 4 objectives for this session. First of all, we need to know the meaning and definitions of human security. The second is the principles and approaches of human security. Third objective of this session is human security approach in conflict prevention. And the last objective of this session and next session is limitations and challenges of human security approach. These 4 objectives have been divided into 2 sessions. That is, human security lecture on human security 1 and 2 will deal all these 4 objectives. That is the meaning and definitions of human security, principles and approaches of human security approach in conflict prevention, and limitations and challenges of human security approach. Before we get into further discussion, let us look into the brief history of the development of the idea of human security. The Human Development Report, that is titled as New Dimensions of Human Security, coined the term human security in 1994, that is either published by the United Nations Development Programme as part of the UN system. The report highlighted 4 characteristics of human security, that is universal, people-centered, interdependent and early prevention. The report further outlined 7 interconnected elements of security, that is economic, food, health, environmental, personal, community and political. In 1999 March, the government of Japan and United Nations Secretariat established the United Nations Trust Fund for Human Security under the management of the Office of the UN Controller with an initial contribution of approximately $5 million. In 1999, Human Security Network, that is a group of foreign ministers from 13 countries, was formed to promote the concept of human security as a feature of all national and international policies. High Security Network members included Austria, Canada, Chile, Costa Rica, Greece, Ireland, Jordan, Mali, Norway, Slovenia, Switzerland and Thailand, with South Africa as an observer. In the year 2000, at the Millennium Summit, the then Secretary General of United Nations, Mr. Kofi Annan, called on the international community to advance as the goals of the new millennium the agenda of freedom from fear and freedom from want in the United Nations efforts to develop better responses to old and new challenges. The Independent Commission on Human Security was established under the co-chairmanship of Sadako Ohata and Amartya Sen in 2001. This Independent Commission on Human Security was established to mobilize support and promote greater understanding of human security. The Commission has established to develop further the concept as an operational tool and to outline a concrete action plan for its implementation. To mobilize support and provide a concrete framework for the application of human security, the Commission on Human Security published its final report, Human Security, in 2003. In the later half of 2003, the Commission on Human Security concluded that the Advisory Board on Human Security was established as an independent advisory group. It was tasked with advising the UN Secretary General on the propagation of the human security concept and the management of the UNTFHS. In 2004, the Human Security Unit was established with the principal objective of placing human security in the mainstream of United Nations activities. Human Security Unit works with different stakeholders to highlight the added value of the human security concept through its application under the United Nations, UNTFHS and other activities. In the second half of 2004, the report by United Nations Secretary General's high-level panel on threats, challenges and change, quote, "A more secure world, our shared responsibility," unquote, make use of the human security concept within the broader agenda of institutional reform in view of the new threats of the 21st century. In 2005, in his final proposal for the United Nations reform, then Secretary General Dr. Kofi Annan, while not making specific reference to the term, quote, human security, nevertheless used its three components, that is, quote, freedom from fear, unquote, quote, freedom from want, unquote, and, quote, freedom to live in dignity, unquote, that is the three components One is freedom from fear, freedom from want, and freedom to live in dignity as the main thematic principles of the report titled, quote, in the larger freedom towards development, security and human rights for all, unquote. This was, you can refer this from the document A/59/2005. In the 2005 World Summit outcome notes that, quote, all individuals, particularly vulnerable people, are entitled to freedom from fear and freedom from want with an equal opportunity to enjoy all their rights and fully develop their human potential, unquote. This reference to human security was pivotal in advancing the acceptance and understanding of human security in the United Nations. In 2006, the Friends of Human Security, Friends of Human Security states that a flexible and informal group of supporters, mainly United Nations member states and international organizations, was formed to provide a forum to discuss the concept of human security and to explore possible collaborative efforts to mainstream human security and formulate joint initiatives at the United Nations. In May 2008, the Office of the President of the General Assembly convened an informal thematic debate on human security attended by more than 90 member states. The debate focused on the notion of human security, its multidimensional scope and its added value to the work of the United Nations. That is on 2008. In 2010, the first report of the Secretary General on Human Security, that report reference is that A/64/701 was released on 8th March. It provided an overview of discussions on human security and outlined the principles and approach for its advancement and application to the priorities of the United Nations. On 20th and 21st May 2010, a panel discussion and plenary meeting of the General Assembly was convened to consider the report of the Secretary General. On 27th July 2010, the General Assembly passed a resolution, that is, it clearly stated that, quote, follow up to paragraph 143 on human security of the 2005 World Summit outcome, unquote, in which member states recognize the need to continue discussions on human security and to agree on its definitions in the General Assembly. The Secretary General appointed Mr. Yukio Takasu as the Special Advisor on Human Security in December 2010. As a follow-up to April 14th report, the Office of the President of the General Assembly convened an informal thematic debate and panel on human security. While continued consultation was emphasized, inputs by member states confirmed the emergence of a level of consensus in which the notion of human security could be framed. In 2011, Mr. Takasu convened informal consultations with member states to ensure broad participation and inputs on the notion of human security and possible areas in which its application could bring added value to work of the United Nations. In 2012, the second report of the Secretary General was released on 5th April. The report proposed a common understanding of human security based on the views expressed by member states. A plenary meeting of the General Assembly was held on 4th June 2012 to discuss the report of the Secretary General. On 10th September 2012, the General Assembly adopted the consensus resolution, quote, follow up to paragraph 143 on human security of the 2005 World Summit outcome, unquote, in which member states agreed on a common understanding on human security. So far, we have discussed about the efforts taken by the United Nations. Now let us understand the concept of human security. As argued by the Commission on Human Security, the need for the new paradigm of security is associated with two sets of dynamics. First one is that human security in response to the complexity and to interrelatedness of both old and new security threats, that is from chronic and persistent poverty to ethnic violence, human trafficking, climate change, health pandemics, international terrorism and sudden economic and financial downturns. Such threats tend to acquire translational dimensions and move beyond traditional notions of security that focus on external military aggression alone. Secondly, human security is required as a comprehensive approach that utilizes the wide range of new opportunities to tackle such threats in an integrated manner. Human security threats cannot be tackled through conventional mechanisms alone. Instead, they require a new consensus that acknowledges the linkage and the interdependencies between development, human rights and national security. It also provides and promotes human security by identification of critical pervasive threats, prevention to see that the risk do not occur, mitigation so that if risk occur, the damage is limited, response so that victims are chronic poor survive with dignity and maintain their livelihood, respect human security by identification, prevention, mitigation of predictable side effects that threaten human security regardless of primary objective. That is, first one is we need to identify the critical pervasive threats. Second is the prevention to see that the risk do not occur. Third one is mitigation so that if risk occur, the damage is limited. Next one is response so that victims are chronic poor survive with dignity and maintain their livelihood. Next one is respect human security by identification, prevention, mitigation of predictable side effects that threaten human security regardless of primary objective. We need to see the vital core elements. Rudimentary but multidimensional set of human rights and human freedoms based on practical reason spans the freedom from fear and freedom from want, to be specified by appropriate procedures in context. And all human lives, it should be human security should be people centered, that is, it should be focused on individuals and their communities, it should be universal and it should not be discriminatory. Then we need to see the critical pervasive threats, that is, critical threats cuts into core activities and functions. And pervasive threats are large scale, recurrent dangers. Threats may be direct such as genocide or civil war. Threats may also indirect, for example under investment of financial collapse. We need to see the long term human fulfillment. Human security is not sufficient for human fulfillment. Human security process should be consistent with ongoing human development by supporting participation, freedom, institutional appropriateness and diversity. So far in this session we have seen the efforts taken by the international organizations like United Nations, and we have seen the meaning and definitions of human security, and second objective, that is principles and approaches of human security. These are the two objectives we have discussed in this session. In continuation of this session, we have recorded one more video titled as Human Security 2. So, thank you so much for listening this session. We will you can listen this session and next session to make better understanding about the human security. Thank you.